Let's jump right into this explainer. Now, we all think we know the story of Pearl Harbor, right? But if we actually look just beneath the surface, there's this wild, fascinating cascade of missed signals, diplomatic deadlocks, and some genuinely terrifying military strategy.
I mean, think about it for a second. How exactly did a completely neutral nation get caught so entirely by surprise in the most devastating foreign attack on its own soil? The dramatic irony here is honestly pretty thick. To really wrap our heads around this massive intelligence failure, we've got to rewind the clock and look at the chessboard before the first move was even made.
Section 1. The geopolitical chess match.
So, long before any bombs actually fell, Japan desperately needed resources. Specifically, oil. They needed it to fuel their expansion into China. And ironically, as you can see in this 1934 U.S. memorandum detailing meetings with Standard Oil, Japan's war machine was quite literally running on American fuel. The vast majority of their petroleum came right from the U.S.
Fast forward to late 1941, and both nations are stuck in a total diplomatic deadlock. On one side, the U.S. issues the Hull Note, basically demanding Japan unconditionally evacuate China. On the other side, Japan's final proposals demand the U.S. lift its crippling sanctions and give them aviation fuel. I mean, they were just miles apart.
Let's look at this timeline real quick to see just how incredibly fast things escalated. July 1941, the U.S. cuts off oil exports entirely. That embargo, it basically started a ticking clock to war. November 20th, Japan issues its final proposal. And then on November 26th, the very same day the U.S. delivers its counterproposal, a Japanese naval task force secretly departs for Hawaii.
Section 2. Planning the strike.
Okay, so while the diplomats are arguing, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto is secretly planning Operation Z. And here's the crucial takeaway. This wasn't just some random act of aggression. It was highly calculated. Yamamoto had three very specific goals: destroy the American prestige battleships, buy Japan time to consolidate resource-rich territories, and deliver a blow so massive it would just shatter American morale.
This part is brilliantly terrifying because it shows how military strategy evolves. Pearl Harbor is famously shallow, which usually makes standard torpedo attacks impossible. But Japanese planners didn't let that stop them. They intensely studied a 1940 British air attack on the Italian fleet at Taranto, and they literally adapted those shallow water tactics by adding special anti-roll mechanisms and wooden rudder extensions to their own aerial torpedoes. Talk about a dangerous workaround.
Section 3. The silent approach.
Late November, maintaining absolute pin-drop radio silence, Japan's elite mobile strike force departs. Just look at the sheer scale of this armada. 6 aircraft carriers, 2 battleships, cruisers, destroyers, it's massive. And this is so vital because American planners mistakenly believed there was absolutely no way Japan could mount an operation this big while also targeting the Philippines.
So, as the fleet creeps closer in the dark, the first warning starts slipping by unnoticed. It's 3:42 a.m. on the morning of December 7th. The U.S. minesweeper Condor spots a periscope from a Japanese midget sub right near the Pearl Harbor entrance buoy. The clock is really ticking now.
Then, at 6:37 a.m., the destroyer USS Ward engages and actually fires the very first shots of the Pacific Theater, sinking that midget sub. Just sit with that incredible moment of dramatic irony for a second. The threat was literally right at the gates. Hostile shots had just been fired, but the rest of the base, still totally unalerted and asleep. And then we get to the final, fatal miscalculation. At 136 nautical miles out, U.S. Army radar spots a massive incoming flight of aircraft. Tragically, they completely dismissed it. Operators assumed, oh, it's probably just a scheduled flight of our own friendly bombers coming in from the mainland. The skies were left wide open.
Section 4. The attack unleashed.
At 7:48 a.m., the silent approach is over. 353. That's the staggering number of Japanese fighters and bombers that descended on the harbor into 2 distinct, brutally coordinated waves.
The devastation they inflicted on the U.S. Navy was just catastrophic. 4 battleships sunk, 4 more damaged. Cruisers and destroyers hit hard. 188 American aircraft destroyed, most of them sitting ducks on the ground. The fates of Battleship Row, especially the tragic loss of the Arizona and the Oklahoma, are forever etched into our history.
But amidst all this ruin, there was actually a huge, crucial stroke of luck for the U.S. All three Pacific Fleet aircraft carriers were unexpectedly out at sea during the attack. On top of that, because the Japanese were so confident in a quick war, they completely ignored unglamorous but vital targets, like the Navy Yard, the submarine base, and the massive oil storage tanks.
Section 5. The Aftermath and Legacy.
When the smoke finally cleared, the world had changed completely. 2,403. That is the heartbreaking human cost, the number of American military and civilian lives lost that Sunday morning. It remained the deadliest foreign attack on U.S. soil for almost 60 years.
Now, meanwhile, behind the scenes in Washington, there was actually this incredible intelligence triumph that got totally overshadowed by diplomatic bumbling. U.S. codebreakers had successfully intercepted and translated Japan's 14-part diplomatic message before the Japanese embassy could even type it out to deliver it.
But because of delays at that embassy, Japan's notification arrived more than an hour after the bombs had already started falling. And get this, the delayed message ended by just stating it was impossible to reach an agreement through further negotiations. Technically, legally speaking, it wasn't even a formal declaration of war.
This unannounced, unprovoked attack did exactly what Yamamoto hoped it wouldn't. It completely galvanized a neutral, divided nation overnight. President Franklin D. Roosevelt immortalized it perfectly, calling December 7th a date which will live in infamy. The United States was officially at war.
Which leaves us with this really important question. What is the true cost of missing the signals hidden right in plain sight? Whether we're talking about history, business, or even our own lives, the clues are usually right there. From a desperate need for oil, to translated intercepts, to a dismissed radar blip. As we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you to reflect on the massive, rippling legacy of those missed signals on that single fateful morning.